Last year, I built 9 SwiftUI projects with ChatGPT. Now, a year later, I reveal the revenue these apps have made. These apps were actually the first apps that I ever built in SwiftUI. This challenge changed my perspective not only on building with AI, but my whole entire perspective of building with SwiftUI. Prior, I was wrapping my apps with a framework called Cordova. It's not really seen as a real framework, but today I learned Cordova is actually the second most popular non-native mobile dev framework. And I know why. As a former web developer, it's easy to get started with building vanilla JavaScript, CSS, and HTML, and the invention of Cordova just allows you to wrap your existing knowledge into an app that works on Google and works on iOS. How great is that? It does have its limitations though. Every time Google released a new platform that you had to recompile your code to work with a new API, it really struggled. I struggled to get it working on Cordova and would spend hours or days just trying to get this framework compiling. So I had reached a crossroad. Either am I going to be an Android developer and use primarily Flutter, or am I going to go down the path of being an Apple developer and SwiftUI? I looked at my stats and I very, very quickly discovered my apps were generating on average around about 50 cents to $1 per download. And on Google Play, they were generating around about 10 cents to 50 cents per downloads. So for every 500 downloads, I could expect to earn around about $250 to $500 on the App Store, or $25 to $250 on Google Play. The complicated thing is that Google Play was sending a lot more traffic to my apps at the time than Apple Store ever was. But I thought to myself, if I can focus on building my knowledge of the App Store and get more people using my iPhone apps, then I would increase my revenue a lot more than focusing on Google Play. Let's check in to see how these apps are going 1 year on. Dreamboard was a very simple app that I developed that allows you to create galleries, photo galleries for your dreams or your ideas. And we can see here the total downloads over the course of a year, 2,000, about 160 downloads per month. There was a big spike and the rest being pretty depleted. Not that popular, didn't do that great. Allowance Tracker. Allowance Tracker was built in a couple of days. It has generated $3,000 in revenue and it's got around about 4,400 downloads. So a bit more successful. It's only been optimized now for about 6 months. So I'm projecting that'll earn $5,000, $6,000 in proceeds. Not bad for a project built in just a couple of days. Next one is Stop Smoking Tracker. This was an app that I deleted. I removed this from the App Store around about 6 months ago. It just was not going anywhere and it was amongst all of the noise of existing apps. It needed a bit more work and I just didn't want to spend any more time and energy on this app. So that one abruptly disappeared off the App Store around about 6 months ago. Compressed Video, 2,200 downloads. It hasn't been monetized yet. Around about 187 downloads. Based on my calculations, if this was monetized, it would generate around about $50, $100 a month. Not worth my time. Body Measurement Tracker. Body Measurement Tracker has generated 10,000 downloads and $3,000 in revenue over the past 6 months. So I'm projecting it will earn around about $6,000 per year from 10,000 downloads. That's a success in my books. This one, what's this app called? Can't even remember what it's called. Locked Photo Album. And so there's quite a few of these apps, locked photo albums out there on the App Store. And I saw some statistics of some of these apps making good money. Only 1,190 downloads per year, which equates to around about 100 downloads a month. If I monetize this one, probably about $20 to $60 per month in revenue. Not worth my time. Real Estate Calculator, 337 downloads in a year. 337 divided by 12. 28 downloads per month. If I was to monetize this one, I'm looking at probably $10 a month or $5 a month by my calculations. Not worth my energy, not worth my time. Goodbye. HEIC Converter. Now, this was an app that came from an actual personal need. While I was creating screenshots, I was airdropping the image to the MacBook, only to find out this really weird file format called HEIC couldn't be converted very well to Photoshop, couldn't be uploaded to screenshots natively. And I thought to myself, other people must be having this problem. Did some keyword research, and sure enough, HEIC Converter is a keyword that people are searching for. So other people have this problem, and I decided to build a simple image converter to convert from HEIC format to JPEG. Total downloads 5,000. It goes through, this one's an interesting one. This one goes through some spikes. Every now and then we get huge spikes in downloads. And what I'm assuming is happening here is when someone posts about it on social media, Reddit or Twitter, anywhere else like that, I get these spikes in downloads of people going, hey, that's a cool app, I'm going to download it. Problem with this is I think this app's probably being recommended because it's currently free. I think the baseline would suggest that it's only doing around about 200 downloads per month. These spikes come in, but I don't think people would be recommending this app if it was paid. I think it's standing out from the crowd because of the fact that the other apps are paid. So the baseline around about 200 downloads per month. I think if it was never recommended again and I monetized it, I would generate like $50 to $100 per month. Not worth my time. Contact Cleaner. This was a basic app that just delved into the contacts on the user's phone, showed duplicate contacts that they could delete, and then also allowed multiple contacts being deleted at the same time. But 1,500 downloads per year is 125 downloads per month. Monetizing this one, no, like $20, $60 a month. Not worth my time. So what have we learned about building 9 apps in a month? Well, I have learned that only 2 of the apps have generated any sort of meaningful revenue, and most of them just disappeared in the noise of the App Store. One was an outright failure, the stop smoking one. I removed that completely. The rest of them just kind of plodding along. Doesn't hurt to keep them on the App Store. They might continue to rise in popularity over time. They might be recommended over time. So there's no point deleting them, removing them. May as well just leave them on the App Store. If they do start to generate enough downloads, I can monetize them in the future. But as it currently stands, only 2 of the apps generate any sort of meaningful revenue, which is kind of in line with my whole portfolio. Any app that I develop has like a 20 to 40% chance actually generating any kind of meaningful revenue. And I find this to be the basis of my model, which has always been just to release lots of apps, see what sticks, and work on them. And this whole stroll down memory lane has really kind of made me think about the parallels with starting this YouTube channel and the parallels of creating my indie apps for the first time with no audience and just not knowing where I'm going. Anytime that I've sort of dived into my own project or my own venture, I've sort of gone with the intention that if I throw myself into this, what could the potential outcome be? And the first thing I ask myself is, does it serve my lifestyle? And I want to make sure that I protect my schedule. So I want to work to my own schedule. I don't want a boss, and I don't want to be stuck on a computer between 9 to 5. I want to be able to explore my own ideas. I want to be creative. I want to share my journey. I want to be able to pay the bills in the process. I want to be able to spend time with the kids in the process. I want to be able to go on holiday in the process. So any venture that I throw myself into, I sit back and think, does it serve my lifestyle? And the thing is, I want to do more of this, more of me talking on the camera, more of me sharing my experiences, more of me documenting my process. But I've come up with some barriers. There's been some barriers that keep sort of popping up, namely time commitments. I have 5 kids. I'm a parent, I'm a son, I'm a partner, I'm part of my own community. I've got a whole life. This might come as a shock to you, but I've got a whole life, outside of Twitter, outside of YouTube, I have a life that I live like normal. So these YouTube videos impact on somewhere in my life. So every time I'm building now, I'm looking at it through the lens of building it for a target customer, target market, but then also working out how to communicate the building process effectively to an audience on YouTube. Trying to make all of my intentions align, trying to make all of my outcomes align, building for YouTube, building apps, generating revenue, spending time with kids. If I can get everything all combined into one neat little package where all of the needs service each other and I'm on the right path, and that's fantastic. That's where I want to go with this. Nobody told me how difficult and how time-consuming editing videos are. I'm used to sitting down on the computer and just working out a piece of code. Once it's done, it's done. I can put my headphones on. I can go into my own world. I can be absorbed into it. I can code and it can be done and I can release it. I can move on with life. When I'm editing videos, my goodness, nobody told me that you can't put music on while you're editing videos. You have to be fully locked in, 100% present with the editing process because you have to work out, is it telling a story? Does this bit make sense with this bit? You have to rewatch the video again to find out whether what you're trying to communicate is actually coming across to anyone. Is it engaging? Is it entertaining? Will people watch this? And the other issue that I'm coming up with is if I'm spending less time building my projects and more time making a channel about building projects, then my channel isn't about building projects anymore because my building projects, I'm no longer building them. So the solution for me seems to be quite simple when I think about it. And the solution is kind of just keep making sure that all of my objectives line up. Being more efficient with my time is one of the most important things that any indie app developer needs to focus on, but especially if you want to produce content. Grow your brand, grow your channel, grow your apps, do all of that at the same time. If everything aligns nicely to the same objective, then you're not spreading yourself thin over 20,000 different projects. You can just focus on the one thing, do it well, and everything else sort of just clicks in line. The next chapter in my indie app building career is creating apps that make it easier for me to produce video content. I can't be the only one who is coming up with these barriers and these problems. I can't be the only one that's a bit dissatisfied with the tools that are currently available. I don't need things to be 100% perfect. I just want to get this content to a position where it's 80% perfect and then add my own finishing touches to it. That will save me probably like 10, 20 hours a week on editing these things. And I've already started that process with a little app that I developed and released a few weeks ago called ScreenRiz. With ScreenRiz, you can specify your still images, screenshots, or photos, and add some nice transitions and some backgrounds to turn it into a fully fledged video that could be used for engagement on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. To build that app, I have created a whole class in the background that allows me to set up keyframes, transitions, generate the final MP4 file. So there's a lot of overkill in that tiny little app and a bit over-engineered, but the plan has always been to take that code and to apply it to other use cases. ScreenRiz allows me to export the images for use on social media. The first step is to make that export to high definition. So then whenever I want to showcase screenshots on my videos for YouTube, I can just get ScreenRiz to generate the graphics and put it into my video editing software and overlay it on the screen. Other tools I want to build is like a video editing software suite that will have some AI functionality built into it. There's some ideas and some nice ways I think AI can really help the process. Just as simple as if I say something on the chat and I wanted to fast forward to that scene, I can just search for it, all the way to recommending what overlay comes up on the screen. So stay tuned for that one. If you wanted to check out more videos about indie app development, check out the playlist on the screen now. If you like this sort of content, subscribe, like, do all the things. I get a lot of encouragement and I want to keep doing this. So if you want to keep seeing this content and you want me to keep producing this content, like and subscribe.